The Devil's Castle. Sometimes the line between love and sin seems so thin. Maybe you fall in love with someone at first sight and easily make mistakes in the blink of an eye too. Sin doesn't come from love, but rather lust and desires. When the greed arises within humans became so haunting, it would take them to an unreturned wrongdoing path. At that time, people would take love as an excuse for what they did wrong. The story I'm going to tell you is the dilemma between love and lust. Every choice decides the turn of events that each character has to face. Today is my 18th birthday. So I decided to give myself a few days out with Kane, my childhood close friend. I am Helen from a wealthy family in Paris. Like all of my birthdays before, I used to travel abroad with my parents and Kane's family at luxury resorts or in a first-class cruise. But this time, I want to change the atmosphere a little. Kane and I will hike to a remote mountain for our recreation. Kane is indeed a troublesome friend who is always attempted to pick on me whenever possible. One of the reasons I hang out with him is probably that our parents are close friends, and on the other hand, he never refuses to get involved in any of my crazy jokes and pranks. Since a very young age, whenever I was punished, he had been on the same boat with me through thick and thin. I am still hanging out with him until now, probably because old habits die hard. It is a bad habit, or so I suppose. My after 18th birthday insanity is a walk with Kane in the forest without food, map, compass, cell phone or any communication devices at all. All that we have are some clothes and 2 bottles of water inside my backpack. After a 2-hour walk, I start to regret my stupid idea. As the skies grow darker, I wonder what we'll have tonight and where we can stay. Would we die from the cold or fall prey to the wild animals lurking in the dark? Let me get you some berries. Eat up and fool around. I'll be taking care of you till you're bored, says Kane before throwing himself into a tall tree. I sit at the stump and stare at Kane, who is not so much more concerned with picking fruit than looking at the scenery. No sooner do I begin to lose my top and attempt to teach the monkey a lesson that a little note catches my attention, upon which a few lines are written. Dear travellers, from the remotest to my castle mind paying a visit. Humble castle, a hideout for strangers. Once enter, if ever safe and sound. A strange poem about a castle is messing with my imagination. I wonder whether this castle really exists and whether it is actually in the forest. It would be great if there were to be a castle for Kane and me to shelter for the night. Completely indulged in thought, I get startled by a sudden tap from Kane on my shoulder. Before I can yell at him, he snatches the note in my hand and tries to read it. I chase him around the tree trunk. I'm about to catch him. Then he suddenly freezes, which makes me almost slam against his back. I just saw a castle when I was up there, this way, the south. Is that the same castle in this poem? Kane looks at me anxiously. Then, without saying a word, he grabs my arm and pulls me away. After just 10 minutes of walking, we arrive at the castle. There is a drawbridge that's situated above a deep and steep moat at the front of the castle. The only entry is to cross that very same bridge. On the bridge's pillar is a sign with the word Little Castle. The name also appears on the note, so it seems to be the same place. As Kane and I are about to enter the castle, we see a car pull up. and 4 individuals, 2 males and 2 females, come out. They also have the same leaflet as we do. Before we can properly get to know each other, a sudden hailstorm sets in. We quickly cross the bridge and enter the castle. We ring the bell, and there appears to be a housekeeper who greets us with a big smile and welcomes us into the building. The man then excuses us and wants to fetch some of his belongings from the car. The house lady suddenly looks amused. Return you must not. For your safety, be confident. That is not a problem. It's just a small hailstorm. I can get it in no time, says the man, at the same time begins to run past the castle gate to the car. Halfway past the bridge, its 4 securing knots come loose at the same time. The man and the bridge drop into the moat underneath. It is just a matter of seconds. The shrieking sound of the man echoes against the castle walls, whilst us visitors stand motionless, taking occasional glimpses at the housekeeper. Ever since the unfortunate man's drop, her happy expression has been as though she is a puppet. She looks at us with an even bigger smile, bends forward and gestures us inside. We have no other choice. It is hailing. The bridge is broken. Bearing the warning previously, we reluctantly follow. Under the faint light of the chandelier, we are walking through the main lobby to the stairs and into the dining room. The housekeeper pushes the food cart towards us and set the dishes on the table. You arrived at the wrong time. It is so dangerous outside, so feel free to leave when the storm subsides. Madam, why do we only see you in such a big castle like this? Asked a girl curiously. How could that even be possible? Mr. and Mistress have gone out. They'll be back in a few days. And by the way, as a word of reminder, this castle is not entirely safe during the night. If you accidentally hear a knocking sound on the door, positively keep it shut, instructs the lady carefully. After saying that, she goes into the kitchen, leaving everyone in complete silence while they are shocked after the man's death earlier. Silence falls over the room, and Kane can't help asking everyone to give a bit of an introduction. Apart from me, Kane and the deceased man, the 2 other girls are Jenny and Linda, and another strong-built man, Jack. They are new members of the city's environmental volunteering club. It is the first time they meet each other and get lost. And to make it safe, they decided that they might as well find a way together and eventually ended up here. After the introduction, everyone quietly has a meal. Casting the glance over to the banquet, I feel my stomach a little stirred up when wondering what kind of meat the stinking meatballs are made of, making it repelling to eat. However, I cannot help eating anything, so I have some salad and leave the table. Although feeling utterly hungry, we are all in no mood for dining, so the house lady shows us to our rooms. I insist on being in the same place with Kane, on the hunch that there may be something fishy while the others stay in separate rooms. The cost of sharing a room with Kane is that I have to give up the bed to him, but lying on the thin covered floor. The floor is hard and cold, but I fell asleep because I had such a long day. By midnight, I am woken up by the rapid thudding noise within earshot. I jumped up and looked at the door, attentively listening, when I heard a banging on the door in the right room. That's Linda's room. The sound of the door banging became faster, more intense, along with women's screams. I only heard a few words. Help me, please help. Please open the door and let me in. Someone is trying to kill me. Please help me. Though the noise is interrupted, the desperation and urgency in the message out of the question, the door banging is sent through people's hearts like a drum beat. undisrupted. Out of the blue, a hysterical, catastrophic cry pierces through the night, through the wooden doors and into the ear of the beholders, enough to render them stupefied. Help me! The room is pitch black, so dark I cannot see the tips of my fingers. Time grows slow, and after a while, the noise suddenly stops, which makes the room a deathly silence, in which I can hear my own heartbeat. I cannot take the feeling of insecurity any longer, so I try to wake Kane up. I can hear on the bed the turning of him, who in the time of crisis still makes out something like a true ass. What's the matter? You want to sleep with me? Please, go ahead. Oh, you scoundrel. I look at him out the corner of my eyes and drop myself on the floor. How on earth can I trust this sick head? Take some sleep. There'll be nothing else to do tonight, says Kane. I have no heart for another argument with him, since there is no means to escape the inevitable. Well then, I will just let things take their course. I gradually drift into sleep. Early the next morning, I am woken by a loud cry. This time, it is from Jenny. I rub my hands against my eyes, stand up and get out of the room when I find Jenny in front of Linda's room, hands over her mouth and her eyes fixated on something inside the room. I walk to Jenny and cast my eyes into the room, onto something that makes me almost gag my stomach out. The dead body of Linda lies on the floor, in the middle of the room. It faces upwards, and nothing looks intact. Perhaps she was executed by a hatchet. Consecutive slashes turn parts of the body into minced meat. Internal organs, as well as bowel discharge, run all over the floor, making the sight both vomiting and disgusting. Her head is split into two halves, thoroughly distorted, with the remaining staring fearful eyes that appear in one piece. Blood soaks on the floor, out of the dead corpse like a gory river stretching over the banks. At this moment, Jack steps out of his room. Before this terrifying scene, he trembles and asks, Did she open her door last night? I try to remember, but cannot recall any door opening sound last night. Everything was too loud, and I could not know even if someone kicked the door open. At this moment, my childhood friend slowly appears. He takes a look at the room, then calmly walks down the stairs. My dear friend, it's time for breakfast, Kane says. After hearing that, Jack puts a hand on his mouth and retches. He shouts at Kane's back. How can you eat after looking at this? In truth, Kane could eat the whole breakfast meal. This morning, we have fried eggs and milk, which is quite delicious. Not only Kane, but I also finished my meal. It seems like Jenny and Jack retch forever before they can finish their dishes. This castle has some secrets. If we figure out what it is, then maybe we can escape this place, Jack says. We should split up. I will find and talk with the housekeeper. In the meantime, everyone takes that chance to search for an abnormality in the castle, Jenny says. Would it be dangerous in the daytime too? Jack trembled. Except for our 3 rooms, this castle has many empty rooms that are left unlocked. Jack is going to check those rooms on the right side. Kane goes for the left side. So I have to search in the kitchen. However, I find out nothing, even after turning this place upside down. Oddly enough, this ancient castle seems to have a long history. Still, when you look at the kitchen room, you would know right away that it's been repaired recently. The kitchen utensils are new, and the walls are freshly painted white without any stains. I had read enough horror novels to wonder this is a murder scene. Was the kitchen repaired to hide the bloodstains? What if there is a corpse behind these walls? When turning around to leave, I suddenly bump into someone. The housekeeper has been there from out of the blue. Her face is cold with no expression, but she stares at me as if she's going to stab me. I am freaking out, but manage to crack a smile.
Breakfast is delicious, but I get the munchies, so I open the fridge to look for some fruit. Please don't be mad.
In the blink of an eye, the courtesy smile reappears on the housekeeper's face.
It's okay. Let me bring some fruit to your rooms.
After she leaves, I immediately climb up the stairs to look for my companies. When walking by Linda's room, I see her body is still there. So I reach out to close the door, then quickly run back to my room. Everyone has gathered. One by one, we speak about what we found.
There was a fully furnished room up on the 3rd floor, but it does not look like other rooms. It's the room of the young master and young mistress of the castle. The housekeeper appeared before I had the chance to search, so I had to leave,
Jack says.
While cleaning the table, I talked to the housekeeper. Her expression changed at the moment of young owners of the castle, but she said nothing,
Jenny says.
Maybe we could not find out anything. It's still hailing outside. I did not see any clues in the living room either, but the phone is disconnected. It seems like the 4 of us have to stay here for another night, Kane considers.
Night falls. Everyone backs into their rooms. However, I cannot get a deep sleep. My tired body dizzies in a half-awake, half-asleep state. Suddenly, a knocking sound wakes me up. The sound gets louder, as if it's right next to my ears. I crawl up the bed, quietly call Kane's name. The table lamp on the bedside cabinet lights up the whole room. Kane climbs out of bed, slowly buttons his shirt. At this moment, the pleading of last night resounds outside the door. I turn around to grab Kane's arm. Then he looks at me and nods towards the door. Is he crazy, or do I misunderstand him? Because I think that nod means he wants to open the door. There was someone knocking on Linda's room last night, and the reason for her murder might be because she had opened the door. However, even if she had not opened the door, the housekeeper has the keys anyway. She must relate to everything, somehow. The door shut or open, we would still end up dead. Risk is the only choice for us, even if I could not trust this kind of childhood friend of mine. I hesitate for a second, then head to the door. After I pull the door wide open, a chilly wind sweeps through the room. There was some flash outside, and then everything suddenly muted. On the other side of the door, there is emptiness. However, this atmosphere makes my head stand on end. At this moment, I feel like there is a ghost floating right in front of me, but I could not see it. I reach for the switch, light the room up. When I turn around and look at Kane, I am frozen because there is one more human at the corner of our room. She's a woman in her sleep dress, curled up in the corner with her face down. Her messy, long hair covers her whole face like a ghost. There is a deep and long wound on her arm, causing blood dripping ceaselessly on the floor. I freeze and do not know what to do, but Kane jumps towards the door, grabs my hand and pulls me into his arms. A deafening sound rings out. I turn my head to face a tall shadow stormed in front of the entrance. The shiny cleaver in the hand of that dark shadow has caused the sound back then. That man has tried to stab me but missed, and the knife stamps on the door. When that man is about to swing the blade towards us, Kane reaches out and kicks him out. I bound to the door, push it closed and insecure. Right after the door was shut, everything falls into silence. In the corner of our room, the ghost still curls up,
hugs herself tightly, and trembles. Blood pours from her wound on her arm, reddening the pool on the ground. Her shaking voice utters,
"Thank you for saving me. You really are good people. That man beat me all the time, and I always tried my best to endure. But earlier, I opened his phone and found he has had an affair. I insisted on divorcing. He got drunk and ran to the kitchen for a knife to kill me. Thank you two for opening the door, saving me. Tomorrow morning, I will call the police. That crazy man has to be behind bars."
A ghost wants to call the police to put another ghost in jail? It means that this ghost is not aware of her own death. She has experienced the scene lead to her murder again and again in pain. On this night, Kane and I opened the door, changed the drama's course, and made her think she is saved.
"My mum is gonna be back home from the market. Can't let her know that I'm hurt. She will be depressed. Can't let her know. Ah!"
She screams. Her body twists, then melts into the pool of blood on the floor and disappears.
Linda died because of this ghost's resentment. Perhaps last night she refused to open the door and save her. The tall man storms into the room, must be the abusive husband of the female ghost. While being chased, she had knocked on Linda's door for help. Because Linda declined the pleading, she had to suffer the same fate as the female ghost.
Kane says.
But who is the female ghost and her husband? We still don't know all the secrets of this castle.
I mutter. Kane says nothing. He quietly opens the door and peeks out to look around. There is no one. So he grabs my hand and takes me to the 3rd floor. We go into the room of our owners of this castle, which is untouched in the daytime. Kane steps in first and turns on the light. The first thing we see is a wedding photo hanging on the wall. The bride in the photo smiles sweetly with happiness, but the groom has a stiff smile. After searching, I find a picture of a middle-aged woman sitting on the chair with a man and another woman standing on either side of her. The woman on the chair is the housekeeper, and the couple standing next to her are the bride and groom in the wedding photo. Why does the housekeeper sit on the chair in a family photo? Her appearance is not matched with the housekeeper at all. Maybe the female ghost and her husband are the bride and the groom, and the housekeeper is the female ghost's mother. Then Kane pulls me downstairs. Kane turns the switch on, lights up the whole kitchen. The scene before my eyes makes me dumbfounded. Why does this room look different in the morning? The light suddenly goes off. I hide behind Kane and lower my voice.
This room looks totally different in the morning. Even the furniture is not the same. A moment ago, I saw a worn-out kitchen with different types of furniture with the one in the morning. Besides, there is a huge pot on the burner. How could that happen?
When I am wondering about the meaning of everything, the light turns on and off continuously. I gasp in surprise. We could clearly see that there is a human hanging up in the middle of the kitchen. At first glance, I think that figure is a man, but when I look again, I realize she is a woman with short hair. The light continues to flick, but that woman disappears from my eyes. The kitchen goes into darkness. When the light shines up again, I have to cover my eyes because I have not adapted to the sudden brightness. I approach the stove and realize that the woman has not vanished. She is still there, with her face twisted in anguish. Even Lydia's corpse did not look as painful as hers. I am startled when I look at her feet. Her feet are boiled. She is boiled alive!
Kane says. Before my eyes, a woman is hanging on the ceiling with her feet drowned in a burning pot. When the pot slowly heats up, she has to suffer the torment as painful as skinning alive. For her, death is comfortless. This torture has no difference from the Middle Ages torture. The light flashes, then lights up once again. Everything disappears. This time, the kitchen returns to the state which I saw in the morning. Kane and I go upstairs. On the way back to our room, we realize that Linda's is open. But how? Earlier, I had closed it myself. We step in. Linda's corpse has disappeared. Jack and Jenny are here too. When seeing us, Jack gives out the phone, which he is holding. That phone is full of love messages from a couple. The female ghost said that her husband has had an affair. So this is the lover's phone. But why is it in this room? I close the message box, open the photo apps, and then find some pictures of a naked couple cuddling each other. The woman in the picture is the hanging victim who had her feet boiled. And the man is the groom in the wedding photo on the 3rd floor. Next is a picture of two girls. One of them is the bride in the wedding photo, or the female ghost. The other girl is the boiled feet woman, whom Kane and I saw in the kitchen. It turns out the lover and the wife were close friends. Maybe the lover used to visit her dear friend as an excuse to have an affair with her friend's husband. She had slept in Linda's room, so that's the reason for the phone being there. The wife had found out that her husband had an affair with her close friend, and those two even discussed dealing with her to take over the castle on messages. When she quarreled with her husband, he might beat her. According to what she told us, her husband had been drunk and angry, so he went into the kitchen, took a knife, and chased after his wife. She ran to her friend's room, also her husband's lover, for help, because that man had pushed her in the corner. Of course, the lover would not open the door, causing the tragic death of the wife. After the housekeeper, or the wife's mother, discovered the truth, she captured and tortured the lover by boiling her alive. The husband also died and became a ghost. Maybe he had been arrested and sentenced to death by law enforcement. Even in death, his soul is imprisoned in the castle. He has to go into hiding, afraid of his mother-in-law seeking revenge. In the daytime, the housekeeper always follows us, but we are free to do anything at night. It's because she is busy looking for a son-in-law after sunset. If we could locate and give her that guy, everything will be over.
Who's that?
Suddenly, Jenny cries out. We rush out of the room and chase after a tall, black shadow upstairs. That's the husband. There are 2 rooms on the 3rd floor. One belongs to the housekeeper, and one belongs to her daughter and son-in-law. We look at each other, then enter the main bedroom. All of us have seen that guy run into this place with our own eyes, but now he is nowhere to be found. Kane glances over the room and smiles. He pulls the 4 of us out, closes the door, and tells us to return to our rooms. The dawn is near. I guess the male ghost knows that his mother-in-law is about to come back, so he hides. When she appears, we will take her to find the son-in-law, whom she is yearning to see. We all gasp at Kane.
But we don't know where the bad guy is hiding,
Jack argues.
We should split up and find the housekeeper. Or to find her tonight,
Jenny says. We agreed to split up. It seems like fate always leads me to the kitchen. As soon as I get into that room, I see a woman sitting at the dining table. The moonlight is faint, but I still realize that woman is the housekeeper. She is calmly tucking the lover's feet in the boiling pot. I take a deep breath and decide to step forward. The housekeeper's head turns half circle, but her body stays still. I can see her eyes glare at me without blinks. I try to get hold of myself and say,
Are you looking for your son-in-law? I know where he is. He's never left. He is always in the castle.
Just one step of her sends the cold down my spine and blur to my eyes. When my vision is clear again, she has been standing right in front of me. Chill air wraps me and I sweat like hell. She squeezes my neck, hands as cold as ice presses on my skin. She shrieks,
If he is not there, if you lie, I will kill you.
He hides in this castle. If you killed me, you would not find him. Follow me. I will take you to him.
I try to convince her. She drags me upstairs as if I was a chicken. People have gathered. They look at me in surprise.
Let her go!
Jenny cries. She drops me down and screams.
You said that you know. Talk!
He hides in his and your daughter's bedroom.
I said, panting.
Liar! I have searched that room.
She squeals, eyes glowing. While shouting, she drags me to the main bedroom.
He's always here. You just never pay enough attention.
Kane says and points up. The housekeeper's eyes follow Kane's pointing finger and pin on the wedding photo hanging on the wall. In that photo, the bride still smiles sweetly, and the groom keeps his stiff smile. Abruptly, his distorted smile changes. The corner of his smiling lips droop, squinted eyes turn wide of terror. The man in the picture yells with fear, then transforms into a dark shadow and jumps out of the photo. Such a smart hideout place for him. The housekeeper combs through the castle, but has no idea he is hiding right next to her bedroom. Seems like he knows her well. A woman who lost her only daughter would not want to step into her room, avoiding all the memories. The most dangerous place becomes the safest. The housekeeper screams with rage and strikes out at him. The son-in-law is bigger than the housekeeper, and he has a sharp cleaver in hand, but he seems to be afraid of the castle's lady. He dares not to resist, but helplessly collapses, shaking violently. Green veins in her hand bulges as she squeezes his neck. This makes a shout of fury and sorrow. As that jarring sound echoes throughout our heads, she bites her teeth on his arms. The son-in-law howls in agony and helplessness. The housekeeper does not wait for any longer. She aims at his neck and bites, tears out a large piece of meat, then chews, and then continues to bite the inhuman sound of her screams. The screams die down as dawn arrives. We step out of the castle, since the rescue helicopter comes on time. They could locate us thanks to the phone left in the car of the man who fell off the cliff. His family called him, but no one answered. When they realize the GPS navigation still stays on, they call the police. Officers have entered and searched the castle, but there is nothing. The building is full of cobwebs, as if abandoned for a long time. The kitchen, the bedroom, and other places are dusty. Green moss spreads at each corner of the walls. We do not dare to tell what we have witnessed, but a story of a bunch of people who get lost in the forest and come to this castle to stay overnight. Unlucky enough to be stuck here due to the sudden broken bridge. Kane and I get in a police car to get back to the city. The four of us say farewell to each other. Each one chases after their own thoughts, but certainly this journey will become an unforgettable memory. Desires and instincts are always within us humans. If the human side of us could not control the instincts, avoidable mistakes would occur. The sin committed will never be repaired, because the cost is blood, tears, and even the lives of ourselves. Everyone must overcome their utmost fear, so they could love their familiars more and appreciate the happiness which they have in the present. Although this is the first lesson of my 18th years in life, such a fortunate that I learned when I was still young. We have a long future and storms of challenge waiting forward, but I believe I have the capacity to conquer all difficulties. Greed and desires, if big enough, will push love, judgment, and even humanity away. The husband's greed erased the love for his wife. The lover's greed erased her judgment and broke up a family. The desire for revenge made the mother suffer and lose her humanity. The three of them had paid for their greed and desire. So if we love each other in the right way, we could do the right things and don't have to regret the past.